Hi everyone, it's Amy again, and Amy with Warrior Empaths Healing from Narcissistic Abuse. That is the name of my business, my coaching business, and it's also the name of my Facebook page and my Facebook page group, and also my website that will be up very soon. The title of this video is going to be, What is a Narcissist and Why Should You Care? Of course, narcissist is an old term. We used to think that it was basically just a person who thought they were full of themselves and they liked to primp and look in the mirror and idolize themselves. Where that is true, there's all sorts of other things that go into it. And what we are talking about here is narcissistic personality disorder, or NPD. And right now in the world, 1 in 7 person is a narcissist that have this disorder. And of course, all of us are on the narcissistic spectrum. We can have low narcissism, we can have healthy narcissism. We need that to survive. But then it gets up into the higher range, and the more characteristics that a narcissist has, they are considered malignant. Narcissists are all over this world. Some people think that they make great CEOs. I would beg to differ on that. I think personally that capitalism has created more narcissists than not. And also, if you work under for a company which is led by a narcissist, you're probably not going to be treated very well either. But let's get to what a narcissist is. Yes, they are grandiose, and they do tend to live in a fantasy world where everything they do is perfect. They tell themselves they're perfect. They tell lies to make everyone else think they're perfect. And I think in that fantasy world of creating a mask or a persona, I think that's part of their fantasy world. But again, these narcissists, they need constant praise, constant attention. Like I said before in another video, that attention equals fuel to them. And you'll hear that word quite a bit if you read up on anything or watch any videos about narcissism. It's called fuel. And that is something they need. They cannot make it without fuel. And they receive that by receiving praise and admiration. There are 2 types of narcissists. An overt, which is very overtly out there being grandiose and doesn't care what they do to others. They don't try to hide it. Typical overt narcissist right now would be Donald Trump. And now that's one reason you should care about narcissists. And then, of course, we have the covert, which is more common. The covert tries to hide their narcissism by playing up people, being good, being the helper, and really going a little bit out of their way to get people to like them. And this is important because they want others to like them. So when things go wrong with a romantic partner, a friend, or even a child or a parent, they can make these friends their allies. Sometimes we call them flying monkeys. They can tell them, well, that person is the problem, not me. I'm not the problem, says the narcissist. The narcissist says they're perfect. They are so helpful to everyone. But it's just a ploy, folks, just a ploy. They also feel very entitled. And also they exploit others without any guilt or shame. They lack empathy. They also can be intimidators. They can be bullies. They demean others. And they can be very cruel, or they can be very cruel to the people who they are the closest to. They would never do this to an ally or a flying monkey. But in relationships, like a good friend, a parent, a child, a romantic partner, spouse, this is how they treat those people. Even if you are working for someone who is a covert narcissist, they will do the same thing. Why do they do it? Because they have to prove that they are better than you. And a lot of covert narcissists love a challenge of bringing in a good-hearted person, someone who's very respectable, who looks good on their arm, and they become infatuated. Narcissists never love, only infatuation. Narcissists also work in cycles. And those cycles start with idealizing, putting that person on a pedestal, claiming that they're perfect. They build them up, they love bomb them. If you're a romantic partner in the beginning, you will be showered with praise. They will tell you for a while that you can do no wrong. And they think that and they may actually think that they have found the ideal person. People with NPD, they go from relationship to relationship, always searching for that perfect partner. And each time they are disappointed. And it's not because they think it's because it's the other person, that they just can't find that perfect person. But after they go through the love bombing and the idealization of their partner, they will then start the devalue stage. And that's when things start to get a little sticky. You can get backhanded compliments. Like they'll say, "I like the way you look in that outfit. Not the one you wore yesterday." I used to get things like, I wore stupid shoes. I couldn't walk right. Everything I did was somehow wrong in their eyes. And you start at that point really wondering what's going on here. And they continue this phase of belittling, of taking you down so many pegs and trying to put you in your place, that you're not so special as they once told you they were. And they'll also tell you you're really too sensitive. Why are you taking that as criticism? At this point, they tend to not pay attention to you either. You can talk and talk and talk, and they'll turn their head away, and they'll be just staring out into space or fantasizing, dreaming about, who knows, probably, their next target. And then as you get into the discard phase, right before the discard, they'll tell you you're crazy, you're stupid, you don't know how to, you're just a terrible person, nobody likes you, I don't like you, and no one will ever like you or love you again because you are just not right. And those are the 3 cycles. Actually, once you get to the discard state here, one of their favorite tricks to discard you is to just blow up, walk away. And if you want to contact them, if you want, to get back together, you need to beg. You need to say that it was your fault, not theirs. And that you'll be better. And maybe after about a month or even a couple of weeks, 6-8 weeks, they'll come back like nothing happened. And then you go through the whole cycle again. Kind of like a wash machine. Except with this, we're love bombing, we're devaluing, and we're discarding. So now, why should anyone care about narcissism or NPD? Like I said, 1 in 7 people are affected with this disorder. Again, it's narcissistic personality disorder. They are usually not diagnosed because they're not going to go in and seek the assistance of a mental health expert or a therapist. They're perfect. They're doing everything right. Remember, you're the one that's crazy. You're the one that's unstable. And the only way you can get a narcissist into see a therapist and to be diagnosed would be if they were forced to by the courts, or if they really thought that they were going to lose something of value that could not be easily replaced, then they may go through the motions of seeing a therapist. It never lasts long. If it's voluntary, they never last long. And I've had people tell me, a therapist I have had in the past, she told me flat out she refuses to work with them because you can't work with them. They always have the answer. They know. And they know that there's nothing wrong with them. And of course, it's the therapist's fault. That therapist doesn't know anything. Of course not. And like I said, 1 in 7 people have this personality disorder, and it's getting bigger and bigger, growing faster and faster. And I alluded to that we now have a narcissist in chief. And as of today, he is now leading us off to war. And if you just watch him, how he lies, twists, and even though it's on camera, even though it's on videotape, he will deny that he said that, or he will deny. The narcissist that I was just, my last relationship, I found out after he discarded me, and that was for like the 4th time. I went back three times. Not a good move, people. Not a good move, because it just gets worse with each cycle. But where was I going on this? But anyways, my own personal last ex. After the discard, I decided that I was going to do a background check on him. Why I didn't do it to begin with, I guess it was because he was a neighbor. We lived in this community, and it seemed like everybody liked him. And they still do. You know, all some of these people need is a wink and a smile and a hello, sweetie. And that's all they need. But the narcissist, what he did is he made up his entire life. Everything that I was told about where he worked, what he did, where he lived, and how many times he had been married. All false. I was shocked when I got this. You can imagine, I was just, wow. I find out he had a 4th marriage when he had told me he had been married 3 times. He told me that he had been a truck driver and been owner-operator. No record of any license. No record of any ownership of a truck, and no record of him being employed by any trucking company. He was an engineer in HVAC, cooling, and those types of things. And to me, I would have thought it would have been more respectable to say that he was the engineer and not a truck driver going all over the country. I don't know if he wanted this to basically to cover all the that he had moved around so much, or why he concocted that story. Also, one of his best stories was, get this one, he said he was a sheriff's deputy in Phoenix, Arizona, under Sheriff Arpaio. He would tell us how they would dye the prisoners' underwear pink and make them walk around in just their pink underwear. No, he worked for the Biltmore Hotel in Phoenix. And another one of his concoctions, he told me that he had been offered a recording deal as he had a country western band and they were quite popular in New York. And just out of the blue, this record company president comes to him and says he wants to sign him. But you know, he couldn't accept it because in his divorce, he had 2 children. And he took those children, claiming that his ex-wife beat those kids. Right now, I don't know if that's true. I don't know if anything's true about him. But anyways, they can tell these whopper of stories. And just like, you know, if you... I can't get off on Trump, so I'm going to leave that part there. But what they do in the phase of the love bombing is they build you up and they start building that trauma bond. They get you so high up on a pedestal and you feel so loved and cherished. And really, folks, I did. I thought this was the man of my dreams. And even he said we were perfect together. But it doesn't last. And it's just, they do this to obtain your trust. They need you to trust them so that they can proceed on with the devalue and the discard state. Those are the important ones. And during that devalue state, it's all, your targets are walking on eggshells. You don't know when they're gonna snap and blow up and storm out. And they get you used to it. When you're love bombed, especially women, it produces a chemical in the brain, oxytocin, and that starts forming that bond. And then once you move into the devalue stage, it's the push and pull. It's the I love you, come here. And it's the I hate you, go away. I love you, I hate you, I love you, I hate you. That also contributes to that trauma bond. And they do it so frequently, and they're always criticizing. They like to tell you you're crazy. That is the number one thing to know about a narcissist. They will always say, you are crazy. And they will tell you you are unstable. And then after the discard phase, as they discard you, and you don't even know half the time, and you just think they're not calling, that they're going to, get over it. But no, they're not getting over it. They're out looking for someone else. Most narcissists in romantic and spousal situations, they also cheat. And now with cell phones, with the internet, it makes it very, very easy for them to do so. And they will also, even in the love bombing, their love making is so powerful, so intense, and they've had practice. They've had practice. And they are so, they'll cuddle and snuggle for a while. Once you get to past that love bombing, if they're even still interested or haven't found another sexual partner, they'll have sex with you. But it isn't going to be like it was. It'll be wham bam, thank you ma'am, and off they go. Now, why should you care about what narcissism is? Besides the fact that it's becoming more prevalent, besides the fact that our government and the powers that be tend to be very narcissistic, and that's pretty much across the world. And our work situations, you're going to end up, most people will end up with a narcissistic coworker or even a supervisor or boss. And what the narcissist is really getting at, they like to get to that devaluation stage and that discard stage. They're planning it from the moment they meet you, how they're going to devalue and discard you. And that is, they need to lower your self-esteem and lower it to the bottom, as low as it'll go. They want to actually do so. They want you to feel like crap and be so confused to where you think you are the problem. That'll be in the work situation. That'll be as a parent, a child, as well as a romantic situation. But they need to feel good about themselves. They are damaged individuals who have no self-esteem, and the only way they can feel good about themselves is to do the narcissistic cycle. We should name a dance. Hey, let's do the narcissistic cycle. That could be fun. But anyway, so after the discard, they like to start a smear campaign against the target. And you know what the rumor they like to start with? that you're unstable, you're insane, you're crazy. Because they are doing these things to push your buttons and to where it will make the target react. The supply is good no matter if it's positive or negative. They like that. And they so like to talk to, here's where the flying monkeys come in, the enablers. These people will listen to anything these narcissists have to say to them, and they will believe it. They will not believe their own eyes and ears. They will believe the narcissist. And the narcissist is always so intuitive into how he selects his flying, he or she selects their flying monkeys, and how they actually select their target too. But any of us, any personality type, whether you're an empath, you're codependent, or you are more on the healthy, self-confident stage of life, they will affect you. If they can get into your little world, they will do it. Because that fuel is the destruction of your self-confidence and self-worth. So here's a little joke. What's a narcissist's favorite song? Me, 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 me. We got to have some fun with it, don't we? And another reason, a reason that's very important to me right now. After being a target, being love bombed, devalued, discarded 4 times, is that nobody will believe us. That's because they have trained their flying monkeys so well. And the persona and the mask that they wear out there in society is one of perfection, as perfect as they can get. That's why you will see the narcissist primping. I do that too, but